it is now my honor to present Her Excellency, President Katalin Novák of Hungary. Please stand. Please remain standing. Welcome, Madam President. We will now begin the program with a prayer. Father Ryan Richardson will deliver the invocation.
Lord, we thank you for this special visit of Her Excellency, Ms. Katalin Novák. May we live out our Benedictine charism of hospitality by welcoming her as we would welcome you yourself. Grant us open ears and an open heart to receive her message today. May you bless and strengthen her in the mission you have entrusted to her. May you fill each of us here present with a great desire to build a civilization rooted in the gospel principles of peace, justice, love, and respect for the dignity of each and every human person. We ask our prayer in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Father Ryan, and thank you all for being here. This is a truly momentous and historic occasion. Never before in our history have we had a head of state of a foreign nation visit our campus. We're so glad that we have Her Excellency President Katalin Novák of Hungary as the first. In addition to being the first head of state on our campus, she also holds the distinction of being the first female president of Hungary. She was elected in March of this year and took office in May, following several years of service as State Secretary for the Family and Youth and then Minister for the Family. Her focus on families is important and leads to her positive stance on traditional values and pro-life issues, which puts her very much in line with our beliefs here at Benedictine College. Family is so important to her that she paused her career for several years to stay home with her 3 children. She had a college experience like our students here in this room, having attended and graduated from the University of Economic Sciences and Public Administration of Budapest. Professionally, she's an economist. She has lived and worked around the world, and in addition to her mother tongue, she is fluent in English, French, German, and conversational Spanish. President Novák has had a busy week. Last Monday, she was in London attending the state funeral of Queen Elizabeth II. Then on Wednesday, she led off the afternoon session of the General Assembly of the United Nations with an emotional plea for the countries of Europe and around the world to work harder for peace. And this past weekend, she got to see Mel Gibson, right? And today she's here in Atchison, Kansas at Benedictine College. Please welcome Her Excellency, President Katalin Novák of Hungary.
Thank you so much for this beautiful reception, and thank you for the opportunity of being here. Honestly, this is a highlight of my visit to the US. I've done a lot of things here. Met also President Biden and met also Mel Gibson. I visited him at his house. I also did have the chance to go back to the now middle school, back then a junior high school that I attended for a short while when I lived 30 years ago in Arcadia, Los Angeles. And I could decorate who look of Survival, who is a great author, a Hungarian, a great author of 90 5 years right now. Edith Eva Eger, you might know also The Choice, that's her book, and also The Present. If you don't know, then you can look it up. So I did many things, but I wanted to come here. And honestly, also my staff, my colleagues, they were a little bit suspicious. It's not something traditional that president does when he goes, she goes somewhere abroad. But I thought that there is no such a thing that what a president should do. You can do whatever you want, actually. And given some circumstances, of course, but I thought that let's do something untraditional. I'm normally like that, so I thought that it would be so nice to meet you, because you are actually our hope for the future. And that's the reason why I am here, because I would like to meet you. I would like to see you, and I would like to strengthen our own belief that if you are there, and if you will be there, and if your kids and your grandkids will be there, then well, we have still the hope. So that's the reason why I am here. I come from Europe. I come from Hungary. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Hungary. I hope you look it up right now, at least. We have a beautiful language that nobody else understands around the world, which is very useful. I always feel sorry for those who have a mother tongue or a language that everybody understands around them. Believe me, it's when you can just, chat without anybody understanding you. It's really cool. Sometimes, of course, it is embarrassing when somebody just reacts in Hungarian. It can also happen. It happened to me already. But we have this hidden language, this Hungarian beautiful language, and we have a very strong Hungarian identity. We are a small nation compared to the US, of course, or the Americans. We are only 10 million people, or if I count everybody, Hungarians living all over the world, it's almost 15 million people, but it's not many. I mean, we are a small country compared to the United States, very small. We live in the heart of Europe, linked with many, many links to the surrounding countries and also the others in Europe. And we are an old state, I have to say, if I'm here, because we have a history of more than 1,000 years. So our state was created, founded over 1,000 years ago, and it was founded to be a Christian state. And that is for us very important. That is our identity, actually, to live in a Christian state. And I will quote you now and later on as well from our constitution, because there we also state how proud we are of having this Christian root. Our constitution says, I quote, "We are proud that our King, Saint Stephen, built the Hungarian state on solid ground and made our country a part of Christian Europe 1,000 years ago. We recognize the role of Christianity in preserving nationhood. We value the various religious traditions of our country." So that is actually our identity, which is reflected in our constitution. And we are not the wealthiest state, or we are not the wealthiest country either at all. We don't really have natural resources. That puts us in a quite difficult situation right now regarding the war in Ukraine and also our energy independence from Russia. But still, we have great minds. And if you don't know any Hungarians who made history, then again, look it up and you will see how many great Hungarians were important elements of history and science and also sports. So we have great minds, talented young Hungarians who we are very proud of and who we are trying to support with all possible means. So that's the country I come from, and I am very proud of being Hungarian. And that's the country. And about myself, thank you so much for the introduction. Just as you said, I am the first female president of our country, and also, which is not a merit, but I am the ever youngest president of the country as well. It will pass away, but still, that's a fact. And I'm quite new in office. I've been in office only for 4 months. But in 4 months, we've done a lot of things, and still 4.5 years to go. I can be re-elected but I don't care about the next. I just care about the next 4.5 years, which remained, and I would like to seize this opportunity of really driving change and accomplishing what I think my service is up to. I'm a president. That is something that will pass by, but which remains is that I am a wife. I've been married for 20 years just this year, and to the same person, and and also I'm a mother. I'm a mother of 3 children, so that means that I had the privilege of giving birth 3 times, which I would never give for anything. And I also had the chance to spend 6 years at home with the children as a stay-at-home mom, which I would never give for anything either. And my daughter, our daughter, she's also here with us today. So thank you for being with me, because it makes these official trips much more bearable that you have a kid with you. And I am very much. I don't say I'm determined, but I am very inspired by the family I come from. My inspiration comes from my grandparents, with whom I had the chance to meet each and every day. So on a daily basis, I met all 4 of my grandparents, which was really a privilege when I was a child. And from my parents, who are medical doctors both, and my brother, with whom we didn't have any fights, of course, when we were young, but we don't have any anymore. So the family I come from, it is a real inspiration for me in not only my private life, but also in my professional life. And I am a conservative person, so as the values are concerned, I am set to be conservative. I consider myself also as being conservative concerning values. That means that I stand up for values which are, like I just named 3, the protection of human life, the support for families, and the freedom, the real freedom, which are considered real freedom. These are the 3 things I would like to talk to you about today. The protection of human life, the protection and support of families, and the real freedom. The third one I would like to emphasize the most. About the protection of life, I was responsible for the family policies of our country for almost a decade. So I had that's in politics, that's a long time, that you can do the same thing, that you can really concentrate on something, and you are given the chance to really introduce things that you can, you can manage for a longer term, because sometimes political changes, everybody changes everything. And it is when you speak about family policies and you speak about the support of childbearing, of family funding, then long-term determination, let's say, or predictability, it is very important. And that's why it was really a privilege to work on this for almost a decade. And for me, the protection of human life has also been very important. And I again will quote from our Constitution, which is from 2011. So that means that it was already introduced during the governance in which I took also part in. So our Constitution says, I quote, "Every human being shall have the right to life and human dignity. The life of the fetus shall be protected from the moment of conception." That is in our Constitution, and we... That is crystal clear in our Constitution, that human life should be protected. And I think the main tool for this is education, that we have to educate everybody about the importance and beauty of human life, and where human life and when human life begins. And that is why we introduced in Hungary also different tools, different schemes. And for example, just to name one, which was introduced recently, it means that if there is a pregnant woman who wants to go to abortion, first she has to be shown the sonograph of the fetus. So she has to be confronted with reality, I would say. And then she should take part in a consultation 2 times so she can reconsider her decision. That decision should be taken very, very seriously. That decision is about a life. And we also introduced family support schemes. I will tell you some things about that later on. But just one element I would like to emphasize right now, speaking about the importance of protecting human life, is that you are eligible for all those family supports once you are pregnant. So once the child is on the way. So we consider unborn and born child the same, related to family support. And I think that is very important. That was also a very important tool. And the third element I would like to mention here is that we support adoption, that we accelerate the process of adoption. And we would like to encourage those who are ready to give birth, but not ready to raise up the child, to rather choose adoption. And there are those families who cannot have children and choose adoption, and so that these children and these families can be brought together. And we also see the consequences, the positive consequences and the results of these kind of policies and this kind of mentality, because the number of abortions in Hungary halved in 10 years. So it dropped to the half. That's the protection. That's about the protection of life. I could tell you much more about it, but I go forward with the family support. Then I will stand not to speak about that for an hour and a half. I could, or even longer, because I am very passionate about this topic, and I've myself worked so much on really giving real support to the youngsters, to those who are up to having children. And our main principle is that you have to be given the real choice. That means that if you want to have a family, if you want to have children, that you don't be confronted with financial difficulties so that you have to give up on these dreams. So if you have a dream about having a family, that you can and shall have all the possible support in order to be able to fulfill that dream. And that means that we have a large financial contribution to the family support in Hungary. That means that I don't like to use the word spend, because I don't consider this as an expenditure. It is much more an investment. So we invest 6.2% of our GDP for family support. 6.2%, it is a high number. Those who are familiar with the financial policies, then you know how high it is. Just to give you an example, in the NATO, it is considered to be the goal to have 2% of your GDP for all the military purposes. So related to that, 6.2%, it really is a high amount of money. So we give this to the families, as we have housing support, we have all kind of in-cash benefits, many things. I won't go into details. If you are interested, or if you would like to come to Hungary and enjoy all these benefits, then you are free to do that. We have our ambassador here. He can give you an insight on the Hungarian family policies. But I just want to name 3 examples in order to give you an insight of what these financial benefits mean. First, that if you have a student loan, I don't know, some of you might have student loans. If you have a student loan, being a woman, and later on you will have children, then your student loan the reimbursement will be postponed if the first child arrives or is on the way during the pregnancy already. At the second, we write off half of your student loan. With the third child, you don't have to pay back anything anymore. So that means that we completely write off your student loan, so you don't have to pay back. That's just one example. The second one is that once you're a mom with at least 4 children, then you don't have to pay any personal income tax ever in your life in Hungary. So you're exempt from personal income tax paying lifelong. You can still move to Hungary. It's an option. And the third one is that we have a quite long parental leave. That means that you can stay 3 years long at home with a child, being secured, insured, and your workplace kept. And that means that it can either be the mom or the father that you can choose. And also we introduce something new. A new element is that can be also the grandma or the grandpa. So if both parents work and there is a working grandma or grandpa who is ready to stay at home with the grandchild, he or she can do that as well. So we have a so-called grandparental leave in Hungary too, which nobody else has around the world. So these are just some insights. I could name many more. That means that from the first moment on, from the moment of conception, we are there to support those who are ready to raise children in a responsible manner. I should also underline this one. And again, in our constitution, these values are also reflected. So I would quote some sentences of our constitution. I quote, "Hungary shall protect the institution of marriage as the union of one man and one woman, established by voluntary decision, and the family as the basis of the survival of the nation. Family ties shall be based on marriage or the relationship between parents and children. The mother shall be a woman, the father shall be a man." I quote again, "We hold that the family and the nation constitute the principal framework of our coexistence. Every child shall have the right to the protection and care necessary for his or her proper physical, mental, and moral development. Hungary shall protect the right of children to self-identity corresponding to their sex at birth, and shall ensure an upbringing for them that is in accordance with the values based on the constitutional identity and Christian culture of our country." These are all in our constitution. And I spoke about the constitution, so the legal basis. I spoke about the financial support. One thing I would like to mention is the mentality, is the family-friendly mentality we establish in Hungary, that we are trying to have all over at the workplaces. Because if you are a mother or a father, or even if you are carrying son or daughter, that you have to take care of your parents or old parents, and your workplace doesn't take that into account, then it is very difficult, even if you have good family support schemes from the state side. So that we have an environment which really encourages childbearing, that is very important. That I can tell you that we see now that it has become a fashion to have children at a younger age right now, because the problem is this postponing of childbearing. And, you don't postpone childbearing like that you take the decision of postponing it forever. It's just by little. That's always the case, almost always the case. That you just say that, oh, right now I still wait, because I'm not sure of something. Then you say that, okay, I got a good job, so I will try to do my best at my workplace. So later on I will have the kids, and then you get promoted, and then I just got promoted, so I cannot just go and quit and have the kids. So it's little by little that you postpone this decision about childbearing, and then you realize that, it's gone. And you can't go back and take these decisions again. So that's what we see in Hungary, that now it has become fashionable to have kids at a younger age. So not in your 30s, but maybe in your late 20s or even early 20s. But it is also a fashion that many follow. And we also see, of course, I always look at the numbers, the figures, I'm an economist, and there we also see the results. That means that in Hungary, the number of marriages doubled in 10 years. So now we have twice as many marriages as we used to have 10 years ago. And also, and that's really completely the opposite of what is happening in the Western world, I'd say. So it's like really we are going against the mainstream, just as usual in many things. But it has the positive outcome, and not only the number of marriages, but the fertility rate has grown by 25%, and also the number of divorces went down. It's at its 60-year low right now. So divorce is down, marriage is up, fertility rate up, and in general, these are just some positive outcomes. I don't say that we are there yet, but we might be on the good path. So that was about the family support. I won't tell you any more about that, just if you have any questions. And the third thing I would like to talk to you about is the freedom, the real freedom. We Hungarians are a freedom-loving nation. We are so proud of our freedom, and we really stick to this freedom. And we speak about real freedom. And what do I consider a real freedom? That means that you don't have to go with the mainstream, that you are free to not to go with the mainstream. You are free to have your real choice, that you are really free to speak. You're really free to think. You're really free to live. So you have a real freedom. You can speak freely. You can think freely. You can live freely, and you don't have to feel ashamed all the time just because of that, because you share your thoughts, you share your feelings, and you think freely. Real freedom for me is that you know that you are not the creator, but you are part of the creation. You are just a creature yourself, and that makes you free. And the real freedom for me is that you know your limits. You know that you have limits. You love your limits. You respect your limits, and you accept your limits. And that's the same with child raising. Those of you who raise children, those of you I know that children need limits. If you don't set limits, then it's very difficult. And children love limits, even if they pretend not to like them. But they do love them. If they see that they don't have limits, then they feel completely lost. And we also all need these limits. And real freedom for me means that you know that you are not the only one. You're not the only creature. That you know that since Adam was given a partner, ever since we need community, and we need communities. And ever since we live in communities. And that means that your individuality is not the only purpose. You don't just have individual purpose, but you also have to respect the other members of the community. And that respect is, I think, for us Christians, natural, but we should never forget this, because that gives us the real freedom. So that means real freedom means for me that you're free to be a member of a community, of a small community, of a large community, of communities. And you are free to respect the others. So this is what real freedom is for me. And as a conservative Christian woman president, what does this mean in personally? That's what I would like to speak to you about. I am a Protestant believer, and I know when I was elected president. From that moment on, I always knew who I was responsible to, who I am responsible to, from whom my service, my duty comes from. And this is not nobody on the earth, but it's God. And I have to be responsible to him at the end of the day. And I know that my perspective should remain eternity, even if it is very difficult. If my perspective remains the same day, or an immediate reaction on Facebook or on Twitter or whatsoever, so if you preserve this very short, limited perspective, then you take wrong decisions. And I would like to maintain my perspective as eternity, which is very difficult and may seem a little bit like exaggerating, but really that's something I would like to keep in mind all the time. And as I'm a Christian believer, I also know that I'm never alone. And I can also tell you a story about that. I remember my first day in office. We found I was in a good relationship with the previous president, so we had the setting that he gave over the office to me, let's say officially. So that meant that I went to the Sándor Palace, that's called the palace where my office is actually. So I went there, and so he officially welcomed me, and then we drank a tea, and then he left, and then I stayed. So I was like, okay, I'm the president now. It's like it's a weird feeling, and then I have a beautiful terrace with a view on the Danube. It's like really you can see the whole city from there. And I just went to the terrace, and I thought that, like, well, now that's it, and I'm the president now, and I thought that, well, I should share this with somebody. You want to share So I thought, I have to share it with somebody. So then what did I do? I called my husband. He hung up. So, okay, I couldn't speak with him. Then I called my parents. They didn't hang up. They actually answered, but they said, hi. And I realized that they were not alone. So they were like, okay, and what's up? And so it was very nice, but I couldn't share. It's like, it wasn't the moment. I said, yeah, everything's fine. Oh, bye-bye. So that was it. And then I called my best friend, and she didn't answer. So it was like, okay. And then I realized that I'm not alone. I'm still not alone. I mean, I can pray. And then I realized that that's it. And from that moment on, I know that I'm never alone in this office. And I have always the one with whom I can share my thoughts, my maybe the things I'm not really sure about, my doubts. I will always have, and I do always have somebody whom I can ask something, and who will answer. And I always get this answer, maybe in the very, very last moment, and I feel like, oh, I won't get it this time, but I always get it. And I very much pray for that I always get it in the future as well. So for me, not being ever alone in this office either, it is something which comes from my belief. And I was always told that, in this office, in this post, you will always feel alone. It's like it's a lonely office, but it is not. If you're a believer, then it's not. We are in a Benedictine College. So for you, ora et labora, it's something that you're familiar with on a daily basis. And labora, I've spoken about that already. And ora, I started to speak about that. But I consider this also very important. And I'm convinced that if our diplomatic talks, if our meetings started with a prayer, then we wouldn't be in such a difficult situation. So that maybe that would be a solution for many, many issues. And that's about, let's say, politics, or that's about being a president, but also being a working mom. That is something that I experience on a daily basis, what it means. And I would like to seize the chance to meet you, young people who are before childbearing. I think many of you are from the gay family. And I want to tell you, I know I experienced how difficult it is to make this decision. It is not easy. I mean, nobody should say it is. It is easy to quit. It is easy to say. It is easy to get engaged. It is easy to say that now, from this moment on, I will live with the same person each and every day. I will meet the same person again and again, over and over, and it will always remain like that. That's not easy to take this decision. And you know what? You take this decision not only once, not only twice, but like 100 times on a daily basis. So you have to make this decision again and again and again and again, that you always say yes to the same person. And that's not easy. Of course, with my husband, it's easy. But for many, it's for him, it might be difficult. And I know that being an educated young person, no matter if you're a man or a woman, but let me say that for a woman, it's much more complicated. You're there educating from university. You are up to something. You really want to deliver. You really want to accomplish something. You have studied like decades, and you haven't done anything else but studying. And then you say that you quit, and you say that now I will change the napkins and I will just, raise the children, and that's it. And that's so difficult. I think it really, really is difficult to take this decision. And I remember when I was in the same situation, I started my professional career as a diplomat. That meant that I remained in the same building in Budapest, because at the beginning you cannot travel or something. You just you are at your desk and working on papers and things like that. So it wasn't very, very interesting, but still I was a diplomat. And I remember that after 2 years I had the chance to go abroad to a post, and then we started to consider this with my husband, that okay, then we leave. We live for 4 years. And then what? That means that we won't have children in the forthcoming years. And I should say I was lucky because I had to take the decision of either postponing childbearing by 4 years or doing it right now. And just as I said, it's usually not like that. You just postpone it little by little. So we then made the decision not to go abroad, not to take the post, but to found a family and to have children. And still then, it wasn't like, I took that decision and from that moment on, I felt like, yes, that's what I had to do. No, it wasn't like that. I remember raising our first child. I stayed at home, and then after 20 months, I felt like, oh, no, my God, my professional life will pass away, and it's like, I won't catch it again. And I went back to work. I sent our eldest son to daycare, and I went back 4 hours a day, but still, it was so difficult. I felt like I wasn't a good mother, and I wasn't good at my job. So I always felt embarrassed. I always felt so bad that I cannot deliver either at home or at my job. So even if everybody thought I could, but I didn't feel like that. And so then I had our second son. And then I didn't go back again. That meant that I stayed at home until Kata turned 2. So I spent then some consecutive years at home with the children. And I really, really started to enjoy it. I realized how important it was to be on their side. And this is the only period of my life when I could really, really stare at the beauties of life. You can really discover everything with the eyes of a child. And I remember being at a construction site for an hour and a half and, watching all these machines, I don't know how they operate. And it was so interesting. But I can never imagine right now, stopping by a construction site and looking at it for an hour and a half. When I will be a grandma, I will do that again. But I can't wait to do that. But still, if you can do that, if you can really, really quit, and if you don't feel like this constraint of being present, you don't have this FOMO, then you can be on the side of your children, and that is just something that nobody can replace you. You can always be replaced at your workplace, but nobody can replace you in your family. So that was our story, and I thought that if I have the chance to share this with those who are still in front of this decision and who might fear of losing the potential and who might feel that they are always told to compete. We women have to compete with men all the time. We have to, always have the same position, always have the same everything at the very, very same time. And it's not about competition; it's about cooperation. And if you understand that we men and women have to cooperate with each other, not to compete and try to fight with each other all the time, I think that just makes life much, much, much easier, I think. And my experience is I won't tell anybody what to do, which decision to meet and how to choose. It's completely, you're free. You can do what you want. I'm just telling you my personal experience. And my personal experience is that if I imagine my personal life and my professional life as being two trains, and both trains are at a railway station, my professional life is one, and my personal life is the other. My personal life, it is just like a very fast train, like a Shinkansen, which leaves and goes away, and you can never catch it again. Once it's left, it won't come back, ever. And the second one, your professional career, your professional life, it's like, it's like a Hungarian slower train, which might start on time, or maybe it's delayed. It can also happen, and maybe it will just stop a little bit more often, and then you can climb to the very last wagon and still then you can move forward, and then you can catch it later on as well. And maybe you don't even want to catch it anymore. You yourself take the decision that you don't want to catch it. Or maybe you catch it and you start to move forward, and then you find a very nice place and you sit there and you stay there and you don't want to move any further. It's still your choice, but you can move to the very first wagon as well, so to the very beginning. And I would like to believe that my personal example, being the president of our country and being in the first place the mother of 3 children, can give you the courage to not to give up on having a family and having children. And so that's all I would like to share with you today. And I would like to tell you that you're so lucky because you have very strong roots. You can have a very strong identity. So you really have the chance to think freely, to live freely, to speak freely, and also to ask freely after this. Thank you so much for your attention.
Well, thank you so much, Your Excellency. And there's not very many times that you can get a head of state that promotes pro-life, pro-family, trust in God, and the things that she does. So thank you so much for honoring us with your presence today. We have some time for some questions if anybody has some, and if we have some microphones, so Dean Wirtz and Charlie Gartmeyer have microphones and bring them over to them, okay?
Good morning, Your Excellency. My name is Lucas. I'm a senior here at Benedictine College studying chemical engineering. My question today comes from my little sister, actually, who couldn't be here. She wanted to know what inspired you to become the president of
Hungary.
of Hungary, and also what qualities separate a really great leader from leaders that just come and go?
Shall we collect questions?
Well, you can answer this question, yes. We'll go question and then answer.
Thank you so much, Lucas. Tell your little sister that we missed her. I'm sorry that I couldn't meet her. And just look up Hungary on the internet. You will find very, very interesting things about our country. And well, the inspiration, I never wanted to be anything. It's, I mean, like I never dreamt about any posts or something, like positions, never, ever, not even now. Still, I just wanted to do something. I should also tell you that that's my plan B. I always wanted to have a 4th kid. But my husband, he said that 3 is not nice. So it's... he didn't want to have a 4th kid, so then I re-entered politics so I went back to my workplace. But my plan B would be to be a mom of I don't know how many children. Still, that's not a bad plan B. What my inspiration is that I think I now have like people listen to me and hear my voice. And if I can use this to deliver the message, the values that I believe in, and that comes from my Christian belief, then I will seize this chance of being listened to. And I also have the chance to have this light, let's say, or this focus, which is on me, to just try to drive it to somebody else, to some other people, and that's what I do in Hungary. That I have 5 focus in my professional life. Let's say that's families, just as I spoke about. That's the deprived people. That's also the women. That's the talented Hungarians, the young talents, how you are, but the Hungarian ones, and also our country. Actually, the Hungary to love. That Hungary, which I would like it to be a smiling country. and that I have now the privilege and the chance to drive this attention which comes to me to some other people, and that is a great chance. And what your second question is, or her second question is answered, or is concerned, is what is the difference between these kind of leaders? Well, time will tell. You can never tell if right now if somebody is a good leader or a bad one. Time will tell, and that's for the next generations to do it. And for that, we need the next generations actually.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice job. Alex, introduce yourself and your.
Hi, Madam President. My name is Alexander. I am a super senior, a fifth-year senior here at Benedictine. My question was, you guys in Hungary passed a anti-pedophilia law in 2021. I see that as a positive thing. That's the protection of children. That's a very important thing. How would you propose what would you propose that we as Americans could learn from Hungary's initiatives to protect children and to re-inject morality into this moralless, Christianless, godless world?
Wow. Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Alexander, because this is a very important question. What we can do. I mean, that's what we should all raise ourselves, because it's good that we here agree upon something, but if it stays into this room, and then it won't change many things. And as a mother as well, I see this influence coming to our children, which you cannot even avoid. It's so first, I think what we should do is raise awareness, really raise awareness to the potential threat of all these, let's say, ideological movements which are surrounding us, all the woke movement, all this LGBTIQY plus agenda, which is right now affecting all of our homes, all of our families, and this is really a propaganda. So it's not about respecting anybody. We truly respect the other person. We truly respect the choice of anybody. It's not about respect or non-respect. Contrary, it's about many not respecting us, not respecting our children. And I think that we have to show respect for our children. We have to safeguard the security of our children. And so for that awareness raising, I think that is the most, and letting parents raising their children in the first place. Because if you have a child, that it means that you take the responsibility of raising him or her. And of course, the schools contribute, and of course, the communities contribute, but it is that responsibility of the parents in the first place. And I think that if anybody thinks that he or she or it can take better decisions instead of the parents, if these are responsible parents, then he or she or it is not right. And so I think that is our utmost duty to preserve the responsibility for the parents of raising our children.
Madam President, my name is Jack. Thank you for your eloquent speech. My question was, you mentioned early throughout your talk that Hungary has this very Christian identity. I was hoping you could address more how Hungary is using what practical things Hungary is doing to fulfill its Christian identity, and what we as students can do in America to help foster a Christian identity.
So I think I told you some things about what we are doing. I mean, that's our very strong pro-family policy in the first place. That is also the protection of Christians all around the world. That means that we have a very strong state program for the protection of the persecuted Christians. I don't know if all of you are aware of the fact that Christians are the most persecuted congregation in the world. So that means that these people are persecuted just because of the fact that they are Christians. They are just actually killed for that fact. And what we do as a small country, not of the wealthiest country, still we deliver help on the spot. For example, just in Nigeria lately, but many places in the Middle East, in Africa, in many countries where Christians are persecuted, we are there to help them, and that's something I think we all can do. That means that you cannot be responsible for everybody. You have to pick the circles of your responsibility. So first, you are responsible for those your brothers and sisters just surrounding your small community, and then if you have the power, if you have the strength, if you have the possibility, then you can enlarge these circles of responsibility. And that we chose, for example, the Christians. So we say that we feel responsible for all the Christians, no matter where they live. And so that means that we build schools, we build shelter, we help them to restore their cemeteries, which is very important for them, for the local communities. We communicate directly with church leaders there where Christians are persecuted. So we don't go through aid organizations, losing part of the money on the way. It's really direct help delivered on the spot. And now you can tell that in Hungary, most of the people are aware of the fact that Christian persecution is just right now happening, and you don't see that in the news. I mean, that's not something that you can read and hear about on a daily basis. So that is something which you do. And just one more thing, which is much more a personal issue, is that that's again to strengthen your identity. I wear a cross around my neck, and I won't be able to respect more somebody with an other belief if I take down the cross from my neck. But if I hold it tight, then I am able to respect anybody else with a non-Christian belief as well. So you hold on your cross tight, and then you are ready to be respectful.
Oh, that's nice.
Your Excellency, thank you so much for coming to visit us. My name is Teresia. I'm a senior studying computer science and music here. I was wondering, last fall, I read your article in the European Conservative, and I think my jaw dropped that your constitution was so Christian and pro-family. I was wondering what Hungary does to encourage the faith of their youth, especially since there's so much outside pressure coming from social media. Are there any evangelization groups, or what is done to encourage them?
Thank you, Tricia. Well, we let the churches work, and I think that's not. I mean, that seems so evident or so easy, but it's not that. And if you let the church work, the church will do its job, and that's what we do in Hungary. So we enable the church to take over, for example, part of the education. I would say to regain what used to belong to the church, also in social affairs, also in education or healthcare, so these services as well. And there we see that more and more kids go to church schools in Hungary. And that means that, for example, through these new generations, they also, let's say, re-educate the parents. And that helps so much. So we have very strong communities and religious communities as well. That the state also gives support to through the churches or even directly as well. For example, last year we had in Hungary the International Eucharistic Congress, which was a huge event with Pope Francis also being present, and it was like a real demonstration, a demonstration of power, but a demonstration of power of love. And that is something that made Christianity, I think, for many so attractive. And that is just, I think, what we should do. It's not, you don't have to think about that so much. If you pray and you do what you think is the right thing to do, then it will just happen. And that's our duty. But what we don't have to let ourselves being silenced. That's it.
That's great.
Yeah, one more. Go ahead.
Hello, Madam President. I'm Connor, and I'm a freshman here at Benedictine. It's, first of all, an honor to be able to speak to someone who holds such a high position on the world stage. Thank you so much for coming here. So my question for you starts with the statement. So, as I'm sure you're aware, last week the European Union proposed the suspension of funds to Hungary. I was wondering what, if anything, you have to say about this matter.
Wow. Okay. I have to choose my words, not to be too tough about that, because that was not only that. Actually, there is in Europe there is the European Union, and in the European Union there are different institutions, and one institution is the European Commission, which is like supposed to be some kind of a government of the European Union, but this is not just one nation. But the European Union is composed by 27 member states. It is not like a real government. It has the right to initiate, have proposals, and also to make sure that the treaties on which the European Union is founded on are preserved or kept in mind or respected in each and every member state. So that's the duty of the Commission, to make it very simple. And there is the leader, let's say, of the Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. She's a German lady, and she actually spoke at the Princeton University just some days ago. And so she was asked about the Italian elections. Now in Italy, there were elections just yesterday. So in Italy, there is going to be a new government formed, which is going to be a right-wing government, which all of a sudden is, of course, considered a far right-wing government, because, there's no such thing as normally right-wing. That's, of course, then far-right, extremist, whatever, anti-Semite, so everything. Now, because, it's right. And it will be a conservative government. Actually, I'm very good befriended with the potential leader. We don't know yet, but it's a great lady. It's a great woman, Giorgia Meloni, who is leading the party which won the elections yesterday in Italy. But there were elections. There were democratic elections in Italy, and nobody knew the outcome of the elections. But the polls said that it might end with the victory, or most probably it would end with the victory of the right. And so Ursula von der Leyen, she was asked at Princeton University what will be the consequence of the elections in Italy. And so she answered that, we will see. And if she said something like that, if things go to a difficult direction, then we have the tools to punish. And just as we did with Hungary and with Poland. So she just publicly said that they are just politically punishing the people at the end of the day for choosing some leaders who they don't want them to choose. So that's, for me, completely against democracy. And I think that somebody who says something like that disqualifies herself from politics. So that means that nobody should say something like that. I mean, we should set democracy as like a standard. And we should keep in mind that the democratic decision taken by the people should be respected. And that is what happens in Hungary, that is what happens in Poland, and that is what happens right now in Italy, or about to happen in Italy. People take the choice. People are free to decide. They cannot decide on a daily basis, go and vote on a daily basis, but you here in the United States, you have the right to decide. You have one vote, but with one vote, you can change everything. And that happened in Hungary 12 years ago, and that happened in Poland, and that happened right now in Italy. And we have to respect the decision of the people. And we await also the European Commission to respect the decision of the Hungarian people, of the Polish people, and of the Italian people. So that's what they have to do. And then we can speak about funds and everything, but we have to speak about the principle of respecting the choice and the decision of the people, because that is democracy. So I think that democracy right now is endangered, and we have to preserve democracy in all of our countries, not only in Europe, but also in the United States as well.
we're just so proud of your courage and your faith and moving forward. Thank you so much. And thank you, Madam President. We appreciate your time here today. We'd like to present you with the St. John Paul II Distinguished Speaker Award. It is Benedictine College's desire to recognize and honor those who distinguish themselves by serving humanity in the spirit of the new evangelization. Inspired by the life and leadership of St. John Paul II, this award recognizes speakers who share his Christ-centered vision for human life. It is my honor to present this award to Her Excellency, President Katalin Novák of Hungary.
Just to thank you, I just say one sentence, because St. John Paul II said that don't be afraid. So that would be my message to you as well. Don't ever be afraid. Thank you so much.
Thank you.